Hello and welcome to another update video about ADA. Some kind of a noteworthy breakout here today. Not as significant as, for example, Solana's price action, in my opinion. However, we are also following here the projection higher in this triangle pattern that we've been tracking for many weeks. It has been very boring. It still is pretty boring, but at least we see a little bit of movement. Let's just remind ourselves where we are on this chart here. We have this triangle that we're tracking, and it could be that we're finally starting this last wave. Can't remember how long we've been talking about this now, the E wave higher. Okay, we already started probably the E wave in August, but basically the last wave in this E wave. Let me explain. So if we have an Elliott wave triangle, which is basically a range, in this case characterized by higher lows and lower highs, we have 5 waves and they're all corrective. So A, B, C, D, E would be the ideal structure. So the idea has been for a while now that we are in the E wave, which is the last wave of the triangle. It should be a corrective rally and it should ideally get into the region between 30 and 34 cents. So that shouldn't be a surprise if we finally get there. However, it's still not a high confidence trade setup. I have to say that as well. The setup will work though, so the setup is working out, but it's not a high confidence one because we're not running with the trend most likely. Okay, the higher level trend, as it seems, hasn't changed yet, which is still basically down or just not trending at all, sideways. Okay, but nevertheless, we prefer this lower high to be put in a rally that could, take it from where we are now to around about 30 to 34 cents. Where does that level come from? That just comes from measuring the ideal target for the E wave. So we take the length of the C wave, we go to the low of the D wave, which was here basically in August, and it actually is at 29.6 cents. So we might just adjust it slightly, but this is the target box. The 38.2 extension to the 61.8 extension. This is a typical target range for an E wave. It can go a little higher, no problem here. It should not go above the C wave high though at 38 cents. And therefore, I mentioned in many of the previous videos that a break above the 38 cent level or 38.5 cents, if we have a sustained breakout, that is needed to indicate something more bullish. Until then, this could just be an E wave of a triangle. And talking here about the triangle pattern, the E wave, it's a corrective structure. So we're tracking here the WXY pattern, and we're likely still in the Y wave, which is an A, B, C structure. Now, I expect this wave count to change, but so far this seems to be playing out. We've been talking about that for weeks, and I highlighted to you, as long as the 24 cent level is holding, this is a viable scenario. If 24 cent breaks, which could still happen, then we're likely getting a reset of the D wave. And below that level, which is 22 cents, we're likely going to come down more directly. At the moment, it's just doing what it should be doing. And then this will be a decision area. And from there, we would be watching for a potential breakdown and another bear market low. It will depend on the structure on the way up. I will always track a bullish scenario as well. But I have to be very honest with you. So first of all, this short-term bullish case is working out right now, even though it's not a high confidence one. But looking at the bigger picture, I mean, a bullish run from here will only be possible if we're tracking a large diagonal, because this was a 3-wave rally. The move down, I mean, it looks corrective as well. That's why we're tracking the triangle, right? But it would only be possible as a diagonal. 1, 2. Now this would need to be something like that in a wave 3 then, which we can track in parallel, right? We always want to, there's always a bull and a bear. It's just that, do we see any high confidence patterns that allow us to set a tight stop loss, for example, when we trade this to the upside? That's the challenge, okay? So, but overall, as you know, we are in a long-term accumulation range for ADA, so it always depends on the time frame. I can just encourage you, if you're looking for accumulation for the next bull run, you don't need to wait for that last low because it might never come, right? Obviously, when we look at the lower time frame, it just indicates where we are on the lower time frame, and it doesn't really, give you any recommendation to buy or sell or whatever, because that ultimately depends on your own strategy. For example, it could be the right decision for someone who is interested in the larger bull run to just sort of just remind him or herself where we are, when we look at the bigger picture. And we are in a long-term support range, or touched it now here a couple of times. Been showing you that level now here between 24.2 cents and 13.2. Been talking about that now for a few times, actually. We talked about that. And this is obviously a long-term trend reversal area. I mean, essentially, this is where it should turn around and move higher here, essentially in a third wave for the next bull run. So if you are accumulating for the next bull run, if that's what you like to do for ADA, then you don't need to think so much about, okay, do I buy at 26 cents or do I buy at 20 cents or 15? Yeah, it will make an impact. And however, it's not like it will not have a major impact if you bought at 20 or 26. If at the end we go to maybe $4.20 to $7. Okay, so just always keep perspective. I just need to mention that because you don't need to look for the perfect entry on the 1 hour chart if you are trading the daily chart or if you're investing, basically, right? So that's but then again, for me, altcoins in general, they are not really investment quality. They are risky and with small amounts of money, but they're not really like, okay, I go all in on ADA or something. Because we all know what can happen with altcoins, right? They are still sort of very early in an overall process when we talk about this general technology everywhere, and there are many competitors, and we don't know which one is going to make it. So that's all the risk that comes in from a fundamental point of view. But essentially that's your personal decision, which project you want to invest in. But from a trading point of view, I have not enough evidence that a lasting low has been established, even though we're looking obviously in this area for trend reversal signals all the time. But at the moment, for me, the most likely course of action until the price breaks above 38 cents, the most likely course of events, you could say, or trajectory, is that we go a little higher into this region here, which has been on the chart for weeks now, and then get another low from there, because it just aligns very well with a triangle wave count. And the only other way to move higher really is to break above 38.5 cents and follow this yellow wave count in a diagonal. But yeah, that's my update about ADA. I hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment and subscribe. And if you really like the content, then please check out the channel membership. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.